Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. Basically, this is the 130 number 130 part of the formula, and here basically we are discussing about few questions. Basically, what is Bollywood and how Bollywoods are connected with the software industry. In that, basically, we have seen few more questions. How basically earthquakes are connected with passports, Aadhaar and PAN card, and how negative energy and positive energy are connected with the earthquake. How basically World Bank sets the negative and positive energies of the cities. How government basically taking the subscription plan from the World Bank, that is basically negative energy and positive energy. And how basically Sunil R. Nair taken one as an example, that is basically myself. I have taken myself example, but it's not a real story. That is just a normal story basically. 5 time Mumbai visited, 2 time Bangalore, 2 time UAE, and not got the job. So this is basically just taken as an example basically. But in real, this has not happened. So basically, how this story is basically is going to um, connect to each and every city is basically the, and how basically the earthquakes are connected with these all stories basically. So here basically I just taken the example of just Sunil Arroyo, but in real there are 200 crore people basically in India, and their energies are basically taken by the set of power companies and energy companies and nuclear plant basically, and they are doing the process also basically. And like this basically, what is in front of world and what is not in front of world. In front of world basically we will take few examples of in front of world basically. Each and every science basically formulas basically, which are the 11 science, 12 science, BSc, MSc, each and every science formulas basically, that basically are there in the books, right? But that is in front of world, but which is not in front of world, that is basically each and every formula basically has not added the government's formula basically. So whenever you are doing some certain types of formulas, that time basically government energy gets automatically activated in the environment basically. For example, the school lab is there. So school lab basically contains set of experiment areas, like that is basically called as a given name as a lab. So lab basically, to get the permission of the lab, basically it takes more than 1 week basically to get the permission. So that basically is the permission, and that there basically the government sets their environment. For example, it's the lab is for 11th and 12th science. So there basically the government sets their environment of the 11th and science, each and every formulas basically, you can say. For example, BSc lab is there and MSc lab is there. So there basically the government have the each and every formulas of BSc and MSc labs and books basically. And there basically they sets their environment basically. That is basically the formula whenever they executes in the experiment lab. That time basically the government keeps their experiment lab their formulas also basically. So in the that is basically hidden basically. That is basically never come in front of the world basically. So in short basically there is one another dictionary basically of the formulas of the government basically, where the normal formulas are there always there, but plus government formulas are added basically. So he this basically is a different book basically, you can say different diary also, you can say. So this is basically one of the example of in front of world and not in front of world. And then basically we have already seen the best example of the earthquakes basically. So how earthquake comes basically. So in environment basically we have set a few energies basically, which is given by the World Bank. And World Bank says that we have to, given you the more than crores of subscription. From there basically that has basically costing to that basically cost also we have already given. And according to cost, your central government has taken this subscription. So according to that subscription only basically we are giving you the data basically. So that for example, that example we have already taken basically. For example, one subscription is taken by the government, and there basically 10 percentage people are going to 100% get disease basically. So for that basically 10 percentage are going to get disease. So that subscription plan basically the government has taken. So 10 percentage of the 200 crore basically 100% is going to get disease. So this is just taken as an example. It can be 2% also. It can be 2.5% also. It can be 20% also. It can be 12% also. So like this basically just taking as an example. So how basically government are basically taking the subscription plan basically. This disease basically just I have taken as an example basically. Yes. So in real basically there are many examples environment is supposed to be clean. For that example basically, for that according to that the World Bank is going to set the environment. They are going to send the data. The cities area basically few areas are not good, so to create that to create the environment good to that area basically, therefore that basically World Bank is going to send the data. For that basically they are telling that we will be going to charge this much amount, so that subscription basically. So these all basically things are connected with the subscription. So these are basically government subscription, you can say. Government group basically who says that we are basically into subscription business basically. So this basically you can say as a business also. Subscription has become as a business basically. Previously also it was there, but that was basically never disclosed basically. The government pays set of certain amounts and then basically the subscription are automatically done basically. But nowadays basically the government says that we want a detailed plan basically of the subscription which you have sent basically. So we want the each and every stories basically, which people basically stories you are taking to generate the environment basically, to create the environment. So we want the list of that house also, from where basically you are taking the energies basically, and on the base of the you are setting the environment of the cities. From in India, basically there are more than 2 lakh cities. So 2 lakh cities, basically you are setting the environment of which families and energies environment. Basically. So basically, I have taken one example. I have just taken as an in basically earthquake. Basically, this is just one of the 1% basically you can say of the energy which is getting set basically. So 1% you can just imagine basically there are 98 to 99% which basically which metrics basically we have not discussed on it. So it's a basically huge metrics basically you can say that basically World Bank only has basically. So that is human stories basically are one of the example that basically Bollywood groups have basically. The Bollywood group says that we are keeping each and every person. We are not creating the stories. Basically, we are just keeping the stories. That basically Bollywood group says that we are not creating the stories. We are just we are just keeping the track of the each and every stories. We are not creating the story. So like this, basically the Bollywood groups are helping the government basically, and government is telling thank you basically Bollywood group for keeping track of the each and every house stories basically, and like this keep doing the work, we will be giving more money to you. Like this basically Bollywood groups are earning the money from this each and every stories, and they are not creating the story, they are just tracking the story. So like this basically you can just imagine the business also basically. So this is basically one of the sales basically you can say. So story not creating, they are just taking the story from each and every house basically. They are not creating the story. So like this basically the story business also basically came into picture. So in the story business basically you can say each and every sales basically comes into the picture. Sales industry comes into the picture. And basically one person has asked me basically what actually the sales is. So this is the best video basically for the sales, from basically just few parts basically of this basically. This is basically 100 and 29th video part going, and 130 basically this is basically 130 in 129 120 from 100 and from 100 to 130 basically it's a good part basically you can say. So like this basically this is about the how basically government says that we are basically into business of the business, how basically Bollywoods are basically telling that we are just handling the stories of the each and every house, and basically we are just but the World Bank basically don't takes the stories basically, they just verifies the thing basically. And World Bank believe in only the real data basically, that are the energies data basically, that basically will never be going to be wrong basically you can say. So wrong data basically never going to be captured by the World Bank basically, that you can say. So World Bank says that we never gets the wrong data, that is basically the energies data, and stories basically can be little bit wrong, but the energies data which we captures basically from the set of source basically we have in the environment basically, of the each and every cities basically. From there basically we capture each and every house stories basically, you can say. And from that basically we able to track the each and every house stories, and then basically we do the setup process, and we set the environment of each and every cities. And basically we are currently, I am in India, so I am just talking about the India country, and how basically in India country basically they are, the entire power industries are setting the environment basically. So World Bank is just sending the data to the each and every cities, and the environment is basically setted according to that basically. So here basically this is the 120 130th part basically, and 131 part basically we are going to see a little bit more about the formula and Bollywood industry, and how earthquake related things are connected with the set of groups basically.